So this is pretty interesting. The Philadelphia 76ers planning to work out and meet with former first-round pick Kai Jones, who is a first-round pick, 19th overall in the 2021 NBA draft out of Texas. A big with a lot of size, a lot of length, but some weird things have happened to him recently. Hopefully, though, he's back on the right track. We're going to dive into this. I'm Chase Sr. You're watching 76ers Now. Thanks for being here with us. Hope all of you out there getting set to have a fantastic weekend. Before we dive into this, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because whenever the Sixers make a move, whenever there's buzz out there surrounding this basketball team, we talk about it right here on the show. Your one-stop shop for the most informative, insightful, and entertaining Sixers content right here on YouTube. So the news coming from Shams Charania, NBA Insider. Don't act like you don't know who Shams is. He tweeted this out, that Eastern Conference playoff contenders set to meet and work out the former first-round pick Kai Jones, who is hopeful for an NBA clearance soon to play again. Philadelphia 76ers, as we know, behind Joel Embiid, could use another big on this roster. And Jones is a very interesting player, an interesting prospect, and certainly an interesting background story, because mentally, unfortunately, it didn't seem as though he was all there. And that's why right now he's jobless and he was let go by the Charlotte Hornets. But he has a lot of pedigree. And I remember scouting him when he was playing at Texas, a big who could run the floor, block some shots, throw down some dunks on the two-man game, dash into the cup, decent hands. And when he was at Texas, he played really well. Former 19th overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft. Raw talent, and I thought that was the case when I scouted him, because I do a lot of NBA draft work here at Chat Sports. When he was coming out of Texas, I'm like, man, he's got long strides, he's long, two-way impact possibility, but he's so raw, can't shoot, not much of a feel for the offensive side of the floor, but he's extremely athletic. Now, he was released by the Hornets in October after some concerning off-court incidents. It just didn't seem as though he was in a great mental spot, to put it lightly, and obviously a lot of us out there are dealing with some mental battles. If you are, I hope that you're doing okay. Reach out to me if you need some help, or somebody else. But according to Shams, Kai Jones has, quote, worked on himself, in a better place mentally since that release, and he's trying to get it all together. Keep in mind, this could be coming from the agent who's trying to get his client a job. You always have to have those conversations too, and I imagine the Sixers as a front office are having those conversations. Why this move, though, would make sense. Sixers have 2 open roster spots. They need front court depth. Jones has upside if he can keep his head on straight, because we're talking about a player here who is still only 23 years old, because when he was drafted, he was a young bull. So with that, let's ask you this. Do you want the Sixers to sign Kai Jones? Producer Chip is joking around with me. He's like, if this means the Sixers don't have to play Mo Bamba anymore, that's great. S for sign or P for pass. Now, speaking of Producer Chip, let's bring him on camera here, because I'm all for taking chances on players with upside, especially when you need some front court depth, and you never know. Could he fulfill and tap into that potential? I just don't want him causing headaches. Chip, what say you?
You said it perfectly. You don't want him causing headaches. Now, again, as you mentioned, he's still young, very athletic. The Sixers, clearly they don't like their front court depth. That's why they're going out here trying to make these type of moves. It's been very difficult without Embiid. You know, it's all pretty much falling on Paul Reed and Mo Bamba. And, you know, Paul Reed's great, a little undersized. Mo Bamba just, I feel like every time he moves in the court, his feet are in concrete, right?
Yeah.
He just can't move. So, to me, Kai Jones gives you someone who, he might not be 7 feet tall, he's 6'10", but he is crazy athletic, can jump out of the gym. And you know what? They're saying that he's doing better mentally. I'm sure the Sixers will do their due diligence in that regard. If he's doing fine, I'm all for it.
I love it. And sometimes as an organization, you need to be aggressive. And as Chip noted, as I noted, he's got pogo sticks for legs, man. He can leap, and that allows him to be that alley-oop threat. It allows him to block and alter shots at the rim. Now, coming up, other front court free agent targets that the 76ers could sign. It's so funny. I take a gander at the comment section. Chip does as well. That's when we chop it up with some of our loyal viewers down in the comment section. Everybody's so in on DeMarcus Cousins. Is he one of the options? We'll get to that coming up around the corner. First, if you want free Sixers coverage, this is your go-to spot. We're closing in on 14,300 subscribers, and we are 73 people away from that number. So help us out. Let's appease the bosses and let everybody know that our Sixers coverage here on the show is special and a go-to destination. Speaking of DeMarcus Cousins, free agent target number 5, we're going to put him on this list because he's worthy of talking about, especially because he's of interest from so many Sixers fans. Last time he played in the NBA, 2021-2022, Denver Nuggets. He was averaging 9 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 46% from the floor. A reason why I'm out on Boogie, he had to play in Puerto Rico last year. Best days are behind him. Hasn't been the same player since getting injured. And you had the Achilles injury, you had the blown quad. Before the injury issue started to stack up, what a run he was on. We're talking about a decade-long sample size of him averaging 21 points per game, 11 rebounds, few assists here and there, 46% from the floor, 33% from three. A lot of bigs then weren't really letting it fly from distance. After that, though, numbers have plummeted. 9 points, 6 boards, under 2 dimes, and the field goal numbers not ideal. And because he was never really much of a three-point shooter, that's why his game kind of aged a little bit, because he lost that explosiveness and athleticism, and he couldn't supplement that with being able to stroke it from downtown. Now, Boogie would be a fun name, fun discussion point. There's a good chance, though, that he's cooked. In fact, I think that's probably the realistic approach there. Coming in at number 4 is JaMychal Green. Last year, he was playing for the Golden State Warriors, and as Steve Kerr was mixing with that rotation in that playoff series against the Los Angeles Lakers, JaMychal Green actually started a couple of games in that series for the Warriors. A stretch 4 or 5 who can knock down the 3. He's long. I think the conversation with him, too, though, is that, clearly his best days are behind him. And in 2022-2023, 6+ points per, under 4 rebounds, 54% from the field. The good thing is almost 38% from three-point range. Year before that, sub 27%. But then you look at the previous 2 years, from 2019 through 2021, he was hovering around 39%. 40% from 3. Positional versatility is certainly intriguing with JaMychal Green. He's not quite the quote-unquote big that you might want, but if you want a floor stretcher who can knock down that corner trifecta, he can give you that. Coming in at number 3, Tony Bradley, the former Sixer, who was playing pretty good ball, and then the Sixers traded him to the Chicago Bulls and just hasn't quite had those opportunities since then. Like, he was showing some flashes for the Sixers behind Joel Embiid, and the Sixers really liked him as a player. They were disappointed to see him go. And 2022-2023, 1.5 per game, less than a rebound, 50% from the floor. And his last 4 years, the big season for him coming in 2020-2021, when he played 42 games, 7 points per, 6 rebounds. Like, rotation minutes there, 7 and 6. You'll certainly take that. Another player here is Chimezie Metu. And Chimezie Metu, good athlete. He can guard a couple of different positions. He checks in at 6'9", 225. This year, limited sample size, of course, 5 points per game, 3 rebounds, under 51% from the floor. He will hustle. He will give you effort. And a few years ago, he too had a little bit of promise. 60 games played in 2021-2022. And, he was able to put forward 9 points per, 5.5 rebounds, 45% from the field. He's not going to stretch the floor at all. He'll occasionally give you a block. For him being 6'9", 225, we're obviously talking about bigs here, undersized. But as I said, he gives you that high energy and high motor. I'll tell you this, Chip knows this as well. One of the big disappointing things about the Sixers playing awful basketball of late is simply just their lack of effort sometimes on the defensive side and lack of concentration. And under Nick Nurse, you don't want to see that. And when you're without Joel Embiid, you need that effort to be maximized night in, night out. A little bit of an offensive game for him, but not much. And then at number 1, he continues to be available, and he continues to be a person and a player who we discuss here on the show, and that's Robin Lopez. Don't get him confused with his brother, Brook Lopez. They are not even close at this point because Brook Lopez evolved his game. He stretched his offensive arsenal out to the three-point arc where he started knocking down some threes, and that's allowed him to get paid handsomely and to have a big spot and a big role for the Milwaukee Bucks. Robin Lopez, traditional low block center. If this is the early 2000s, he'd definitely have a job. 7 foot, 281 pounds. But year by year in his last 4, production's gone down, minutes have gone down, play has gone down. And when you can't evolve your offensive game, this is kind of the byproduct of what happens. You get aged out and phased out at the NBA level if you're a big. But is he better than Mo Bamba? He's a steady veteran presence that the Sixers could use and need. The thing that Mo Bamba gives you, other than him going to West Town, which is a cool story, right off 926, shout out to 610, but Mo Bamba can shoot the 3 at least a little bit, and he's at least maybe more of a springier athlete as compared to Lopez. So we'll round out with this. Be the general manager. Who would you sign to fill the roster spots for Philadelphia here? Limited names because these players are free agents for a reason. I know some of you might even say Nerlens Noel. You just have to question his desire to play basketball. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Year-round Sixers coverage right here on 76ers. Now, producer Chip's been cooking, and hope everybody out there has been enjoying the show.